Hey guys, sup? Cardmaster Phoenix here, bringing you guys another Cardfight Vanguard area deck profile. This one will be my Bad End Dragger deck profile for January 11th, 2018. Welcome back to the series where we take every archetype in Cardfight Vanguard history, alphabetically sort them, and then deck profile them. So, for this installment of the series, we will, of course, as I said, going over my Bad End Dragger deck profile with the Rising Nova / Nova engine featured in it, which you guys will see shortly. Now, let's go ahead and get into it. For our starter, we're running Mecha Trainer. This is a very old card. The way you can tell how old it is because of two simple things. Instead of the Forerunner effect that we're used to, and it doesn't have that. It doesn't even have the precursor to that, which is Pioneer. It just says when another Spike Brothers clan unit rides this unit, you may call this card to a rearguard circle as an auto on the Vanguard circle skill. Also, activate on the rearguard circle, counterblast one entire this unit. Search your deck for up to one grade 1 or less Spike Brothers clan unit. Reveal it to your opponent, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. This is amazing for so many different things. This is great for searching out Stride Fathers, Perfect Guards. If you really want to, you can search out the card that we'll get into later. It searches out Bad End Dragger. You can get out a heal trigger for Generation Guards. If you'd prefer that over having it as an actual trigger, you can go into just really whatever you want. So it's great for that. And I'd still say it's one of the best starters, if not the best starter in the entire clan. So moving on, we're to trigger lineup, as that was it for our starter, of course. Running 8 crit, 4 stand, 4 heal. Starting off with, of course, Lyre Lips. So, auto in the rearguard circle, put this unit into your soul. When your Vanguard attacks, if your event grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Rising on its card name, you may pay the cost, and if you do, draw a card and choose one of your Vanguards, and it gains 5,000 power until the end of that battle. So this is just one of those generic 4K critical effects where it supports the archetype specific master unit. And this just puts it into soul, makes it easier, or I guess sometimes in some cases harder for you to get to your triggers, and gives them a little power bonus to make it harder to guard if they don't have generation guards, or even if they don't have perfect guards. Just sometimes even a generation guard won't be enough. So there's that. Moving on, we also have 4 copies of Silence Joker. So activate on the rearguard circle, move this unit into your soul. If you have a Spike Brothers Clan Vanguard, choose one card from your damage zone and unflip it / countercharge 1. It's just a very old-fashioned way of saying countercharge 1. Anyway, moving on, that was it for the critical triggers. We have 4 copies of Devil Watch. So automatic charge, which is their clan keyword. When this unit is placed on the rearguard circle due to an effect, such as from the deck, you may have it become charging until the end of that turn. And if you do, put it on the bottom of your deck at the end of its battle. At the end of its turn, at the end of its battle. And you do not shuffle. Auto Rearguard Generation Break 1. When this unit attacks or boosts, if this unit is charging, countercharge 1, and then soul charge 1. And this unit gains plus 2,000 power until the end of that battle. So, the one big ruling, I guess you could say here, I want to bring up is it's important that I highlight the part where it says countercharge / soul charge 1. It's the similar ruling as with Zinc, the exact same ruling, as a matter of fact, where you have to do both. Like, you don't have to do both, but if you do one, you're mandatorily required to do the other. Obviously, you don't get the effect if you don't have any cards to countercharge, but if you countercharge one, you're mandatorily required to soul charge one. They go hand in hand. So there's that. And of course it does get the 3k bonus, which is nice, making it your standard 7k booster. And moving on, finally, since that was all for stand triggers, we of course have 4 heal triggers, which is Dudley Cheers Lindsay. First off is its heal text, which you should all be familiar with by now. And auto, bind this card face up and choose another card with heal from your drop zone and bind it face up. So basically, you take this card and another heal trigger and bind them face up. And when this card is discarded from the hand for the cost of calling a G Guardian, any G Guardian, you may pay the cost. If you do, countercharge 1 or soul charge 1. Obviously, you're going to choose the countercharge 1, but whatever. This, unlike the Devil Watch card that we just went over, is actually an option to choose either or. You don't get both, you choose between the two, which is actually better because you don't necessarily get forced to have a chance of potentially just soul charging your triggers, which is just terrible. It's just never a fun time. Anyway, that's it for the grade 0 and trigger lineup. Moving on to the grade 1s, we have 2 copies of Cheer Girl Elsa. This is just your limit break enabler, remover, whatever you want to call it. I personally prefer to call it limit break remover because it removes the restrictions of limit break entirely. Continuous on the Vanguard circle, your Vanguard's limit break 4 is active even when you have 3 or less damage. Very simple effect, but very effective since you're running Bad End Dragger. If you somehow manage it, that means you can get to where you have your limit break active. You can break right with 0 damage. if you can pull that off, tops off to you. Send me the replay; will be featured on my small channel. But really, that's amazing. Break right at 0 damage. But yeah, only 2 copies of it though because we don't go into it that often, and we don't really want it as a ride target or anything. It's just there. Here is your main ideal ride target, though, which is 2 copies of Wonder Boy. This is just your standard 8K vanilla. I just like running it because it's amazing for offense on your turn, great for defense on the opponent's turn. And it's that simple, really. Moving on, we have 4 copies of the direct support, which is Death Flag Dragger. So auto, choose a grade 3 card from your hand and reveal it to the opponent. During your battle phase, when this unit is placed on your guard, you may pay the cost, and if you do, search your deck for up to 1 card with Bad End and its card name, Bad End Dragger. Reveal it to your opponent, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. Unlike the Stride Fodders, when they're called on to rear guard from your hand, you're not forced to discard after that. You just reveal one and you get one. The only difference is instead of doing it instantly, you wait until it's your battle phase. So that's good. It's not its specific battle, it's just during the battle phase, so there's something else to keep watch for, which is actually really good, because that reduces the chance of you pulling dead draws, especially since it'd be a grade 3, which also increases your chances of getting triggers, so that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Finally, for the final 2, grade 4s, we have 4 grade 1s, we have 4 copies of Acrobat Verde. We actually get both effects off to a T with this deck, because we're running the Nova engine. Auto, choose a grade 3 card from your hand and reveal it. When this unit is placed in the rearguard circle from your hand, not from the deck, from your hand. That's important, because this deck superior calls from the deck like cray. I was gonna say like crazy, but I'm just gonna say like cray. Get it? Because like planet cray. What's that? KYS. Okay. Anyway, when this unit is placed on a rear guard circle from your hand, you pay the cost and you do search your deck for up to 1 grade 1. Search your deck for up to 1 grade 3 card rising card down. I'm sorry, guys. Reveal it to your opponent, put it into your hand, shuffle your deck, and then choose a card from your hand and discard it. Also continuous from the hand. While you're paying the cost for stride, this card gets grade +2, making an insta stride, or stride fodder, or stride enabler, or whatever you want to call it. I personally prefer stride fodder. Finally, to wrap up the grade 1 lineup, we are running 4 copies of Cold-Blooded Visor Cunning Brain. So it's got the continuous Sentinel ability, auto rearguard charge, and auto choose a card from your hand and discard it. When this unit is placed in a guiding circle from your hand, you may pick this if you reach one of your units that is being attacked. Not Vanguard's one of your units that's being attacked, and it cannot be hit until the end of the battle. I do like how it's kind of going back now to where instead of the Vanguard-centric perfect guards that can only protect the Vanguard, that can protect anything, they have the Sentinel ability, and of course the Guardian ability, the perfect artifact. And not only do they have their keyword now, they also have their keyword, and in addition to that, they also have some additional effects that you're getting into now. I just really like that. Auto, when this unit is put into your deck from rear guard, meaning if it's charging, it's put back after its battle. Choose up to 3 cards from your drop zone and bind them face up. Then choose one of your units, and it gets plus 10,000 power until the end of the turn for each face-up copy of this card in your bind zone. I know this is going to sound very awkward, but the greatest matchup for this is probably Narukami, because of how often this card will also bind your cards face-up. Well, this deck in particular will bind your cards face-up, making it harder for them to get off their keyword Thunderstrike, which works off the comparison between theirs and your I'm gonna bind cards, so there's that as well. And that wraps up the grade 1 lineup. We on to the grade 2 lineup. We are running a whopping 10, starting off with 2 copies of Treasured Black Panther. This again is just standard 10k vanilla, just because it's great for offense on your turn, amazing for defense on your opponent's turn. So that's the whole reason behind it. I guess just like before, like I've said multiple times, you can also use it for cards you want as like damage fodder or whatever, but who cares? Anyway, moving on. You have 4 copies of yet again another card that's, I'd say, direct support for the Rising Nova engine. We have Axe Driver, so auto charge when the student's placed on rear guard due to an effect of a card, namely from the deck. You may have it become charging for the remainder of that turn, and if you do, put it on the bottom of your deck at the end of its battle. Auto Generation Break 1, Counter Blast 1, and Soul Blast 1 when the student is placed on the rearguard circle. If you have Vanguard Rising its card name, you may pay the cost, and if you do, choose up to one of your other rearguards, bind it face up, and call that card from the bind zone to an open rearguard circle. Then, if this unit is charging, the unit called this effect and this unit both gain 5,000 power until the end of the turn. So it's just really good. So yeah. Moving on, we have 4 copies of Devil Summoner. Auto, when this unit is called to the Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, reveal the top card of your deck, and if that card is a grade 1 or 2 Spike Player's Clan unit, call that card to a Rearguard Circle, and if not, shuffle it into the deck. Anyway, it's just pretty simple. It's good for recruiting, it's good for getting out other cards, and potentially making columns, and anyway. That also, I should go ahead and mention, worked very well with Superior Calling Axe Driver from the deck. I mean, because that's basically what you're doing. You're Superior Calling it from the deck and place it on rear guard. Anyway, that wraps up the grade 2 lineup. Moving on, we have the grade 3s. We have 7 grade 3s. We have 3 copies of Exceptional Expertise Rising Nova. Auto on the Vanguard Circle, Generation Break 2. Choose a card from your hand and put it into your soul. When this unit attacks Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, you search your deck for up to 1 card, call it to an open Vanguard Circle, and shuffle your deck. And then it also has its stride skill. Auto on the Vanguard Circle. During your turn, when you unit stride, ship to one of your Vanguards, and until the end of the turn, it gets auto on the Vanguard Circle. Plus 1, and choose a card from your hand and put it into your soul. When this unit attacks the Vanguard, you may pay the cost, and if you do, search your deck for up to 1 card, call it to an open rear guard. Shuffle your deck, and that unit gains plus 5,000 power until the end of the turn. For our final grade 3, wrapping up the grade 3 lineup, we have Bad and Dragger. Auto, like Force, but it's like 4 more damage. Or not, thanks to Elza. When a Spike Blow is claiming a Righteous unit, you may choose one of your Vanguards, and that unit gains plus 10,000 power and gets auto on the Vanguard Circle. When your Spike Blow's rearguard attacks, that unit gains plus 10,000 power until the end of that battle. And at the beginning or close up of that battle, put that unit on the bottom of your deck until the end of the turn. That's just great for boosting up your units and making them more powerful. And just good things. Also, auto on the Vanguard Circle, when this unit is boosted by a Spike Boys Clan unit, this unit gains 2,000 power until the end of the battle. Of course, it just has a Lord skill. Anyway, that wraps up the grade 3 lineup. We went to grade 4s, as well as the main deck lineup as well. We have, of course, 16. Starting off with Stride units, we have 2 copies of Blackhorn King Bullpower Agrius. First off is its Stride text. You guys know what that is, so I'm not going to bother explaining it. And auto on the Vanguard Circle, plus 1, and choose a face down card from each zone with the same name as this unit, and turn it face up. When this unit attacks, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose any number of your rear guards and bind them face up. And if 3 or more cards are bound, draw a card. And choose up to 2 cards from your bind zone. For each face up card, you choose on and call them to separate open rear guard circles. This is your first stride, maybe your second. It just kind of depends on what your kind of game plan is, but it's just good to have options, really. Moving on, we have 2 copies of Godly Speed Flash Brews. You're really only going into this once or twice. The rest is just reveal fodder for G-Assist. First off is Stride text, and again, I'm not going to bother explaining that because I've explained it so many times. Not on the Vanguard Circle. Choose 1 card from your hand and put it into your soul when this unit's attack hits. attacks when it hits a Vanguard, and play the cost. And if you do, search your deck for a card, call it to rearguard circle, and shuffle your deck, and until the end of the turn, that unit gains plus 5,000 power. Just kind of good for, I guess, making bigger columns and making your cards a bit buffier. But anyway, moving on, we have 4 copies of Great Hero Rising Supernova. First off is its stride text. Again, I'll explain that. An auto on the Vanguard circle. Choose a face down card from your G zone and turn it face up. It doesn't have to be itself. It can be any card in the G zone that's face down. When this unit attacks Vanguard, again, not hits, when it attacks, you may pay the cost, and if you do, choose up to the same number of rear guards as the number of face-up cards in Great Hero Rising Supernova, discard in your G-Zone, and they become charging. And if the number of your rear guards that are charging is 4 or more, all of your units gain plus 10,000 power until end of turn, and units without charge can also become charging. So that's just an amazing, amazing, amazing card. That being said, you generally would want to flip up this card as often as possible, even especially if it's with its effect or just however you go about it. Finally, for the final stride unit, we have 4 copies of the Hand of Deity, Good, and Dragger. First off is stride text. Again, I'm not going to bother explaining that. An auto Vanguard on the Vanguard circle. Can bless one and choose a card from your hand and put it into your soul. And about this unit attacked the Vanguard, not hit, attacked. If you have a heart card with bad end in its card name, it may have cost. And if you do, put this unit into your G-Zone face up and search your deck for up to 2 grade 3 cards. Choose a card from among them, call it to an open Vanguard circle, write the rest as rest, and shuffle your deck. It's just a very interesting and amazing way to kind of go from your break ride as Rising Supernova on top of Glad and Jagger, which is of course a break ride, giving you 10,000 power when they attack, and then you stride on top of it with this guy. Well, no, you don't. You can't really do that, but you can do this, and you can do it with this guy. Persona flip himself, and then on your next turn you can stride into this, and you can set up yet again for your next play on your next turn by superior riding a second copy of it, or a third or a fourth hour match. But you guys get the point. It's just a really good card. Finally, that's it for the stride units. Rounding out the Great Forest, G Guardians, and the entire deck itself. We have 4 copies of Obstruction King Terrible Lannis. We have the G Guardian text. Again, nothing about explaining that. An auto generation break 1. Just face down G Guardian from your G zone and turn it face up. So basically, Persona Flip. And when this card is placed on Guardian Circle, you might pay the cost to do. Choose one of your rear guards, and you may put it into your soul. And for every 2 of your open circles, this unit needs plus 10,000 shield until the end of the battle, which is very amazing because keep in mind they're all going to be returning to the bottom of the deck at the end of the turn, opening up the red circles anyway, helping on the deck. Anyway guys, that is it for this deck profile. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've been your host, Carmaster Phoenix, signing out. See you guys next time. Have a good one.